Okay, here it is. We are live. Welcome, everybody. This is awesome. I am so glad to have all of you guys here. So welcome from IGTV, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're viewing this live or recorded. Glad you're here. I am Coach Clay Banks, and this is my studio. We are broadcasting from right now, Clay Banks Studio International, just over the hill from Universal Studios. And I am thrilled to be here with you guys, and you will be too, because I am going to give you some fantastic information in this series that I am in. This series is my pilot season prep series, and this is number 2 of 5. And you can go back and see the previous ones that all build and lead up to how you can be better positioned for pilot season, from prior to getting any engagements whatsoever to the actual engagement, which is what we're going to discuss in this session, to setting yourself up and positioning yourself if you have representation, if you don't have representation, how all that works. That'll be coming in future sessions that we do every Tuesday at noon. This will be a compressed session, roughly about 30, maybe 40 minutes. And I am going to give you some 4 first steps of the auditioning process and 8 ways from casting directors and what they have to say about the auditioning process to land the big jobs. Now, there's a lot of training for different levels. I like to train for the A-list. I spent most of my career working A-list. I understand that level. I know how it works. I've been in and out of the rooms with celebrity writers, producers, and actors for decades. And so that's where I like to bring you, because really, let's face it, guys, if you got the right look for a backstage or an actor's access or LA casting, $1.25 a day gig or 2.5, whatever it might be, you'll get cast. They'll throw you in. But when it comes to those jobs that can actually change your life, now we're talking about playing at a whole nother level. It's like going from the college to the pros. And so whether you're there or not, because I obviously do not know what level you're at, whoever you are tuning in, but welcome. I am so glad you're here. I'm talking to you about the level you're most likely desiring to work at, and the things that will work for you and the things that will not work for you. So in brief, if you're not familiar with me, I am a master coach. I've been coaching now professionally for, let's just say, more than 3 decades. And not only do I coach master classes in my own studio, but I also am the summer auditioning coach for the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in Hollywood. And before the lockdowns and the shutdowns, I would be over at SAG-AFTRA teaching master seminars on different topics to huge rooms full of people. And I'm going to bring you some of that important information right now. It's going to be pithy. Write down your notes. And also, just so you know, the show notes will be available to you at the end if you desire them. What you need to do is just let us know in the comment box. Oh no, you have to go to info@, that's what it is. This is the way we're getting you the show notes. Write this down, info@claybankstudio.com, and just let us know you're requiring the show notes and anything else I discuss during this teaching, and we will shoot that off to you. If you have any questions, you can put those in the comment box, and my producer will let me know, and we'll take a break halfway into this, answer some questions, and then answer some more at the end. And like I said, this is going to be a very pithy teaching. So here we go. All right. I want to read you something before we get started. That I write for Backstage Magazine. I'm one of the backstage field experts. So those articles that you read, I'm one of the contributors. I've been writing for them for a few years now. And they would open up, say, a general questioning. They would ask a different industry expert, are you open to a few hours of people asking you questions from all over the world? And this was in one of the sessions. I'm just going to read you 2 questions I get. Now, these are actors coming in from all over the world, wanting to know things. Okay, but listen to these questions, and then I'm going to take off from here. I want to ask you, what is the best way to get discovered? I am currently in my first year of college studying drama, and I want to know how to be discovered. Okay. All right. So now this is where we're talking about dreamers, and wherever the shoe fits, the shoe fits. That'd be like somebody sewing up their socks because there's a hole in their socks and going, something? How do I become a surgeon general? I want to perform surgery on people and then just going for it. Now, the big difference is you can't get arrested and thrown in jail as an actor for doing that, but you certainly can if you try to build a bridge or perform surgery or do somebody's taxes or even give them a massage without being certified and qualified. One of the issues with our industry is that anybody can walk in and out and call themselves an actor. I say this: in April, when you have to file your taxes, or unless you're doing an extension, it will ask you your name, your address, and it will ask you your occupation. Where is this money coming from? What does it say next to occupation? Okay, let's put this into perspective. Now, there's nothing wrong with becoming a working towards actor, of course, but your primary drive should not be, how do I become famous? I mean, that's just a little bit ridiculous. Here's one more. I want to get representation. How do I get the attention of casting directors? I'm new. If you're new, you're out of whack. You've got to have product to sell. Look, when we get in front of a significant casting person, which will happen if you work at this long enough, you're going to, and if you really work at it and do it the right way, you're going to get in front of a lot of casting directors. That's the ultimate goal. And the way you do that is, well, let me back it up a step. You want a job or do you want a career? Okay, right now, I can't see you. If we were doing Zoom, I'd be able to interact with you a little bit more, but we're not Zooming right now. So just on your own, do you want a job or do you want a career? What's the difference? A job is a gig. You show up, you do it, you're done, you're back unemployed. Okay? A career is you're going from job to job to job to job. You're working, you're making your income full time at this. Now, if you want a career, here's the deal. I've heard it said, this is a big city, but a small town. And it's so true. And having worked in this town, the more you work in this town, the smaller the town actually becomes. What I mean by that is casting directors don't just see you one time and it's over. You're developing relationships with casting directors. And by developing that relationship, what's happening is you now have a casting director that's a fan, and they will bring you back for more and more things that they feel you are right for. If you're just in there trying to take a shot at something and you're really not ready for it, you will blow that reputation. And the chances of that casting director seeing you anytime in the near future, like I mean years, is very slim, because you've already made your impression and they're not ready. They're green, and that's it. You didn't make your mark. So I want to help you not do stupid things and just try to chase rainbows. But if you're serious, and you're listening to me right now, I want to help you understand how to position yourself. So the last one, number one, this is number 2 out of 5. The last one, I discussed a lot of really cool dynamics. So you might want to go back and check that out. It's pilot season prep number 1, pilot season prep number 2. We're keeping it kind of simple. And this is, you don't get a second shot at a first impression. So I want to talk to you about some things, tangible, real things that you can do to make a difference. Now, the one thing I want to talk to you about is warming up. I've been an empowerment performance coach my entire adult life. I got started at 21 and was a corporate empowerment coach for a Fortune 500 company. It was a derailment for me as an actor. I had no idea, but I just kept getting good, and they kept paying me more money and giving me promotions. So I stayed for 10 years and I learned how to do all that. Then quit and develop my acting career with all that business training behind me, which was cool. And that's what I want to share with you guys. In all the professions that you look at, for the most part, that require any type of skill and performance, all of them require some type of warming up. And what I find really, really interesting, when I went full-time as an acting coach after my 18-year acting career, then I went back to my roots of training and acting, and obviously now I do this. Uh, I find that actors find they don't need to warm up. Is an athlete going to do anything serious without warming up? A musician, a dancer? My gosh, I remember 15 years ago, I wanted to take on something that was just ridiculous for me to do at my age. And I said, I'm going to study dance. And so I took 4 dance classes a week and I had 2 dance coaches, because when I do something, I get real serious. And you know, any of you dancers out there know exactly what I'm talking about. When you show up at a dance class, you don't even do anything for 45 minutes but stretch. I mean, it's just 45 minutes of an hour and a half dance class is stretch. And then you learn the steps and then you get to dance for 20 minutes. I mean, it's interesting that actors don't feel the same way. Now, I want to show you some simple little things you can do to warm up. And if you follow me on any of the platforms out there, you're going to see a lot of different things I do. I just posted on my Instagram page this weekend a power breathing exercise. But look, here's the deal. Actors, guys, we're wind instruments. You've heard us referred to as instruments. We're instruments. Well, are we the drum? Are we the guitar? We are the wind instruments. And all the wind instruments are instruments that make sound, that perform because of air, not strumming and beating, but air. So think about it. We're driving dialogue, and air is so closely connected to emotions as well. Anybody that's familiar with the Alexander technique, I mean, and just kinesthesiology and on just the connection of the body and how it affects the mind and the emotions and the heart, the spirit, the soul. So we are empowered by our ability to control our breathing. Now, I've been a breather. I know this sounds funny when you go, well, aren't we always breathing? No, a breather is someone who breathes with intention, not just breathes because we are staying alive. Breathing with intention makes you a breather. And it's like if you're involved with breathing groups, it's called, you say, come on, breathers, let's go. We're going to breathe. And the whole point of it is this, and this isn't going to be a breathing intensive. I have done those and you can find those online, but I'm going to give you enough because I want to talk to you about warming up before we get into this. And I want you guys to join with me on this. I'm going to show you power breath and what a power breath is and what it does. There's 2 basic things that power breathing does. One is we're working with the entire muscular system that surrounds the respiratory system. We're talking the diaphragm, all the muscles that operate our breathing. And then I'm talking to you about the induction of oxygen into the bloodstream to feed the cells. In other words, more health, more vitality, more power. You're now not performing in the comfort zone, but you're performing in the performance zone or your peak state. So the problem, before we go into the solution, is this. Whether you're a fantastic cold reader and a great memorizer and you got good characters and all that, look at this. There are different states that we operate in. And the standard state that we operate in, I call regular. Now, you might call it normal. I don't like calling it normal because what's normal? It's your regular. And your regular is probably what you're doing right now. You're most likely sitting somewhere, you're breathing at a regular pace, you're listening, you're in a regular environment with regular temperature control and so on. That's just regular. And we have learned to set regular at a comfort zone. And that's where we are comfortable. Now, if you want to get extra comfortable, you go to the cozy zone. And when you go to the cozy zone, that's where you might have your little place on the couch or in your bedroom with your little, maybe your pets or your blankets or your pillows or whatever. Oh, you're getting really cozy and you're making it nice and warm. Whatever your deal is, I think you get it. But the performance zone is out of that. The performance zone is way beyond cozy and it's way beyond regular. It goes into a heightened state where we are functioning at our best. Now stop and think about this. If you're just in your comfort zone, hanging around in any comfortable place, and you were to hear something that crashed in your house, something that really got your time, all of a sudden, boom, kinesthesiology activates, boom, biophysiology activates fight or flight mechanism. Whoa, and what are we doing? We now go into fight or flight. That's a performance zone. What's happened? Things have heightened. We've gone to another level. Our blood is circulating, our metabolism is changing, and now we are ready. We're ready for what? To get out of the house, to attack, to fight, to defend, whatever it is. It's all built into us. Now, if you know that, and you can channel that energy and get it to work for you, now what's happening is you're operating in your peak state or your performance zone. Doesn't it make sense? But a majority of people that go into auditions do not land them. And one of the reasons is a majority of the people that go into auditions don't warm up. How do I know? I've been coaching actors for over 30 years. I know. And I teach warm-ups regularly, but actors don't always do it, which is nuts. So you want to get ahead of the gang. You want to get past the clutter in the crowd. If you know my pyramid of C's, if you want to get into that level of competition, here's something simple. Start warming up before you perform. Like this is my performance. This, I speak, I teach, I coach, I empower people for a living. I start my day. My team knows I don't get touched before a certain hour in the morning because I'm prepping this to get ready for that, for you, for what we're doing right now. I don't just roll out of bed and roll in my work. That's crazy. This is a competitive industry at a certain level. You want to earn the right to get to the level of competition. So you got to get past the clutter. You got to get past the crowd. You got to get past the clowns. You got to get past all those low-level C's to make it to a point where you're a competition. Where does that level come in? At the callback, another C. Okay? You want to get to the callback. You're not competing with anyone until you get to the callback. So I want to help you get to the callback. So here we're going to do a little simple breathing exercise. I'm going to explain it to you. We'll do a few of them. I generally do anywhere from 60 to 100 of these every morning, at least intense power breaths. So here's how this works. We're breathing regularly. Everybody just stop for 5 seconds and just put some attention on your breath without doing anything. Everybody, you guys, everybody, just breathe and put some awareness on your breathing. Don't do anything to it. Don't help it along. Just feel your breathing. Okay, now keep breathing. I just want you to take a deep breath. Let it out. Okay, now you were just breathing. I asked you to take a deep breath. Did more air go into your lungs? Mm-hmm. Did your diaphragm contract more? Mm-hmm. Think about that as a push-up. It's kind of a diaphragmatic push-up. All right, you're building your muscles. And did you take in more volume of air, increasing your lung capacities? Yes, you stretched your lungs, right? Because you went into another state, a stronger state, because I just said, take a deeper breath. Okay, now watch it on the other side. Just breathe. Breathe for 5 seconds. Just breathe. Okay, now on the inhalation, just breathe on the inhalation normal. When you come down to regular, exhale extra. Okay, what happened there? You squeezed out more air than regular. So think of it this way. If you look at your lungs like this, here's regular breathing. We breathe at the top of our lungs. If you're not training your breathing and you're not training your lungs, what happens is you become a top level speaker. You're not in the sense that you belong on the TED Talk platform. I mean, you're speaking with air from the top of your lungs. You're a high level speaker. You're not using your full body. The acting comes from between the heart chakra and around the groin chakra, or the genitalia, if you will, where we create and reproduce life. That's creation. The heart is the emotion, and everything in between is the passion. This is where the work needs to take place. Not all up here in Headyville. Headyville is not interesting, okay? So you wanna use the full capacity of your lungs. Regular breathing like this. Now, when you take a big breath, we stretch everything. We're increasing our ability to take in air, and we're building the muscular system around the respiratory system by stretching that out and holding it. And then when we let the air out, we come to regular. and then squeezing that air out. And now we're contracting all the way. So now you get a breath like this. That's oh, 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 oh. And what that's doing, and then we'll get into it, is it's bringing more air into your lungs. Now, the body then takes that air, separates out the oxygen, shoots the oxygen through the ventricles into the bloodstream, which sends it into the cells in our body. And it now starts delivering more oxygen into our cells. And our cells are what make up everything we're all about. If we have oxygen deficient cells, then your whole body isn't functioning at the peak state that it should be functioning at. When you're breathing strong into your cells, you're putting rich oxygen in those cells, which just gives you more vitality, more energy, more strength. There's so many benefits. It's incredible. So I've been power breathing for decades. It's insane. I'm just going to show you simple power breath, and you can have this for a warm up, and then we'll move on to the rest of the training. Okay. So here's how it works. Get yourself in any comfortable position. It doesn't make any difference. Now, there are a lot of different ways to breathe, and I'm sure I'm talking to breathers out there. And there's a lot of different ways to breathe. This isn't a breathing teaching. This is a simple warm up before you make your impressions, okay? It's to give you more vitality. Your eyes will be more alight. Your skin will glow. Over time, you will see crazy metaphysical changes and physiological differences that happen in your being just by dumping more oxygen into your system. I mean, what happens when you go to the hospital, you get in the ambulance, somebody gets hurt on the ball field, whatever, they put oxygen on them right away. Why? Think about it. We can do it on our own. So here's a simple way to do this. What I want you to do is find yourself in just a comfortable position, and then take a deep breath in. Right now, this one's going to be through the nose. There is mouth breathing, but not in this teaching. Okay, so deep breath in through the nose. Fill those lungs up. And the way you fill the lungs up is you shove the air down into the bottom, compressing the diaphragm first, filling the bottom of the lung, if you will, and then filling the top of the lung. So I'm going to do it again. Let it out. Now, when you let it out, you're letting out carbon dioxide, also toxins. And I just tell people it's sludge and it's ugly junk. You want to get it out. So this is like deep cleaning for your lungs. So you're going to take this deep breath in. You're going to push it down into the bottom of the lung and then come back into the top of the lung and hold it. So ready? Here we go. Hold it. Now I want you to squeeze in another breath. Start to feel, put conscious awareness on your respiratory system. Squeeze in another breath. Oh my gosh, I got to breathe out. If you do, breathe out. If not, another one. Fully contracted diaphragm, fully expanded lungs. Oxygen is shooting through your system. Now you let it go. You come to regular and squeeze. Back up. Okay, there you have a power breath. You do a few of those. It will help increase energy, calm emotions, real simple. We can do this in another teaching, but there's a simple little warm up for you. And then maybe some tongue twisters, okay? What are to do to die today at a minute or two till 2? To sit in solemn silence in a cold, dark dock. Whether the weather be fine or whether the weather be not. The big black bear bit the big black bug. Sally sells seashore shells down by the seashore. I mean, these are just warm-ups, and those are contracted versions. They're all extended. Warm-ups to get your mouth to make all of the movements, everything, to cover the full range of your S's and your L's and your M's and your T's and your awkward combinations. Awkward combinations, even something like that, so that you're speaking mellifluously. And when you get to those, what I call little speed bumps in the dialogue, you're not this. So once it's like you will not be cast on significant projects if you cannot articulate the English language properly. By you doing these two simple things, breathing and facial warm-ups through voice exercises, you can call them tongue twisters, it's the same thing, then you're not really prepared. Now, there's so many other things you can do, but I just want to give you that in this session. Warm up before you get started, okay? Huge, 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 huge. All right, great. Now, there are 4 basic steps to the auditioning process. I'm going to talk to you about generals or go-sees. These are interviews that happen when you are asked to come into a casting office and you don't have sides. There are no scenes or material. There's nothing for you. It's the casting person is just wanting to meet new talent. This happens often. It happens generally when they're on hiatus, in between projects, that sort of thing. When they want to find out new people, learn new talent that are on the scene, they will open up generals or go-sees, and you get an opportunity if you get called in. Some casting directors just want to talk with you. You know, I've heard several A-list casting directors, they don't even read you at first. They just meet you and they talk with you. They want to see you, learn you, and who you are. So the first step of the auditioning process is the entrance. The second step is the interview. The third step is the performance. And the fourth step is the exit. Very, very simple. Now, of course, there are more steps around that, but for this quick teaching, I just want you to have that first impression, second interview, third performance, fourth exit. That means you're in, you're up, and you're out. And so here's what I want to give you with that. A lot of auditioning is happening via Zoom right now, obviously, and it probably will be this way for a while. Learn your Zoom controls and learn your Zoom room. Now, I do a whole teaching. It's a big intensive teaching on creating the proper Zoom room. I think it's called Standing Zoom Only. And it's all about you not sitting for every audition, working your camera so that if you look at me here now, for the most part, I mean, I've got several cameras around here, but for the most part, my eyes are at the same level as the camera. I'm not looking up or looking down, weird things, nice even lighting. The audio is clear. There aren't distractions. The background, you don't see my laundry hanging there and all this crazy stuff going on that people do in their Zoom rooms. These are the new studios. Make sure your studio is prepped and looking really great. If you have any questions after you review these videos, go ahead and send us your questions, info@claybankstudio.com, and we'll help you get those studios. So don't think of it now as, oh, I'm just Zooming, I'm just FaceTiming. No, this is your studio. You're a professional actor, you're a professional studio. This is your workspace. Get it right, okay? So when you come in on a Zoom. Now I can't do it on Facebook, but you guys know that you can block out your camera and turn it on, turn your camera on and off. You want to get really comfortable with that. And a big question that comes in is, where is my eye contact? Where do I put my eyes? Okay, so what you want to do when you're in the waiting room, you want to get on the ready, know your controls, know how to black in and out your camera. Make sure you know whether you're muted or not, because you're going to start talking and they're going to go, you're muted, and you go, oh. Got to get unmuted, you know, and all this weird, crazy stuff. We're beyond all that. This isn't April of 2020. Okay, it's January 2021 right now at time of taping. We know these things. So get your eyes at eye level to your camera. All right. You don't have to sit for every one of these things. I do several of these standing up. I think I might do my next one standing, because I'm going to show you some things with green screen backgrounds and stuff like that. Then get your hand on that on and off, make sure you're unmuted. And when they call you in the room, already be looking at the camera. So you're looking at the camera, you unmute the camera, and you're like, hi. And you're making that first impression. Hello, already looking at the camera, not looking at yourself to make sure you're okay. You should have handled that already. Not just looking at them, but making yourself available, because this is so much more personal by doing that, by looking right in the lens, than it is just, you know, staring at the person you're talking to. Okay, so you have that up and you have that going. Now, in the auditioning process, often they will want to find out about you. Now, if you're in a quick office like television, a hit series, and they're just casting their under fives, their co-stars and whatnot, and it moves pretty quick. They don't generally do a lot of talking. They'll move pretty fast. But every one of these things is always casting director specific. And believe me, all the casting directors that I've met professionally as an actor, and also have brought into my studio and casting director workshops and meeting with them and talking with them, they want to know who we are. And so if you have that question, should I go into the audition in character? Not full blown, no. They got to know who you are. The casting director is the just say armor bearer for the director, to make sure that the person that they're sending to the director isn't, you know, weird and freaky and strange and all kind of stuff, that unless they're casting that, that they want to know who you are. So you walk in, you're personable, you who you are, and now you're in the interview. We're going to come back to the interview. After the interview is over, they will generally say, okay, let's go. And either action, show me what you have. Do you have material? La, 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 la. They will then take you now out of the interview into the performance. That is, why are you there? You're there to show them what you can do. So the second step is who you are. The third step is what can I do? Meaning you're prepped, you're prepared, you've got your character down, you know your scene, you know the internal narrative, you know the external narrative, you've made your choices, and you're ready to perform. You give your performance. At the end of your performance, you will either get a thank you very much, that was great, a redirect. They're not going to tell you you sucked usually, even if you did. So you'll rarely hear that, if ever, even if they're thinking it. Because why? They just want to move you out of the room and move on to the next person. They don't need drama in their office that way. So you won't necessarily know. But when you're done, now it's how you leave and that lasting impression on your way out. So in, interview, audition, the performance, and the exit. All right, those are the key things right there. So here's what I want to talk to you about, what happens when you come on in the room. And I mentioned this in the last teaching. You come in the room, hi, how are you? Great. You now follow the lead. You don't know how they're going to talk to you. You don't know what they're going to ask you. You don't know how long it's going to last. Write this down. You want to accept the unexpected and get in the habit of being able to accept the unexpected, meaning you're not going to be easily thrown because you're in your performance zone, you're activated, you're on, and you're ready to go. And now that you're ready to go, it's like they might ask you more questions. They might ask you for a joke. They might want an interesting anecdote or a story. They might ask you for a monologue, or just to jump right into the performance. You don't know what they're going to ask you, and you want to be fully prepped. Now, in the interview process, they're learning about us. And here's where actors blow it all the time. All right, here's your big blow it. Where you blow it is you haven't become an interesting person. There's a big note for you. You haven't become an interesting person. Meaning, I just want to act. All I'm about acting. If I'm just about acting and I act and I talk about acting and I'm just an actor and I'm married and all, they're going to think I'm serious and they're really going to want me on their project. No, they're going to think you're boring and uninteresting and they don't want anything to do with you. So they want, that's on the resumes. You notice at the bottom on a standard resume, it says special skills. And that doesn't mean hula hoop and reading and you have a driver's license and a passport and you enjoy walks on the beach. It's not a dating service. Special skills means who are you? What's interesting about you? What can you do at an exceptional level? Not just ticking off boxes on LA casting. Oh yes, you can jump rope and do hopscotch and these crazy things. I mean, come on, guys, let's get serious. This is what can you do on demand, on command, with 45 people standing around, cameras on you, and now we need to shoot you. That's what we want to know about. What are you exceptionally good at? So actors should be continually working on their special skills. And also just you're becoming an interesting person. And how you become an interesting person is by showing interest in things. You become interesting by showing interest in things. Got that? So have hobbies, have interests, have things that make you more than just an actor. Okay. I think I might need a little power. Okay. On this. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I write for Backstage magazine, as I mentioned to you guys, and there's all kind of contributors for Backstage. There's agents and managers and casting directors and industry pros, all kinds of people contribute. And I just highlighted two little quotes from two different casting directors. And this was just released on Backstage. Okay, this is top advice from casting directors. Now, this piece of advice is coming from Robert Ehrlich. He's the casting director for Glee. And this is what he says. He says, I love actors, But I think that when I meet somebody for the first time, I generally don't talk about acting. Doesn't talk about acting. I think it's a great time for people to either develop another hobby or just do things to make them happy so that they'll be more interesting actors when they begin to act. You know, we want to, what do? You don't want to talk about your acting most of the time, most of the time in the auditioning process. I said, well, tell me about you. Well, I'm studying and I just did a monologue and I just did a scene. It's like, they don't want to know that stuff. They want to know about you. Take them out of the acting world. Take them on a short little journey of something interesting about yourself. Okay, here's a casting director out of New York. His name is Victor Vasquez, ex-casting. He says, don't worry about all those credits on your resume. It's not fully flushed out. It's all about you more than those. It's about who you are. So let's start there and learn to find different characters that match the characteristics of you, and then sometimes make them opposite of you in a way that only you can play them in your own unique and organic way. Now, if you are not a unique and organic person that has something interesting to offer and you're just trying to land work, you know, that's like oranges trying to sell themselves at an apple fest. It's like you're not right. You got to get right. So show interest in different things. Build your special skills. Don't just go take a workshop and then put it on there because you think the name on there is going to get you a gig. Just like studying with a famous acting coach. Look, if you study with a famous acting coach and you're in the room with 30 or 40 people and you work once a week, you're not developing your instrument. It's not complicated. Oh, but I've got this famous acting coach on my resume, but you can't act. At the end of the day, they're not going to put their careers on the line because you're cute and they like you, or you're both from Ann Arbor, Michigan. I mean, or whatever it is. It's going to be, are you qualified for the work? Okay. So in that interview, it's about your ability to be able to answer questions, to tell little anecdotes, to not run off, to not do stupid things. It's the art of the interview. So when I say things about yourself, you should have quick little stories about you that are very true. So whatever it is they say, could you tell me something interesting about you? I'd like you to do this right now. I'm going to ask you, although I can't hear your response, just answer this for yourself. Tell me something interesting about you. Do we have radio silence? Or do you go, well, you should have at least 3, 5, a half a dozen things prepared that you can talk about, and they should line up somewhat with the ethos of the project that you're auditioning for and the casting director. So like, you know, if you're going out for something on Disney, you know, you're doing a Disney Plus or something like, and you're in there and you're gonna, even Nickelodeon or something, and you got some part on there, you know, don't talk about, you know, the Thrasher movie, just, or, you know, the demon you were for Halloween, or, I mean, come on, you want to make sense out of it. And when you're, and I'm going to talk about this in the marketing part, which is, I think, going to be session 4, learn the casting people, follow them, find out who they are on Instagram or Facebook. I mean, they're more available now than they ever have been in the history of doing this. And then you can start to see some of the things that they're interested in and gear your stories. Why? Because relating goes huge, especially in developing relationships. So here's how it works. They ask you a question. Tell me something interesting about you. Well, I'm a rescue diver. I've been diving for decades and I've continued to increase my levels. And now I went through a rescue course so that I can actually not only dive, but help save lives underwater. Okay, so what I did there is I answered their question, took them on a little journey and stopped. Now you wait to see if they want to know more. If so, they will ask you, or they'll go, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. Don't keep going and going and going. You don't want them to want you to leave. You want to leave them wanting more. Okay. So make the answers succinct and to the point. And also they're not looking for a checklist. They want a story and they want your personality. Okay. So don't just, oh, well, I do this and I did this thing one time and da, 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 da. No, Share your personality. Oh, wow, that's an interesting question. Look at that right there. So there's a little hack for you. I like dropping these little hacks on you guys. So when they ask you any kind of a question, oh, wow, that's an interesting question. Open your face, open up your chakras, open up your energy, let the love shine, let your eyes start to sparkle, and show them your personality. Okay. And talk with them. It's not an interrogation, it's a dialogue. You're developing relationships with these guys, okay? Because they want to bring you back, and you want to eventually get shortlisted. And shortlisted is when a call comes in for your type, you're one of the first 5 people they think about. When you get shortlisted, you work a lot, okay? So when you're in that interview, that audition, you're not in there to land the gig. Try to get that out of your mentality. I know some people are going to tell you, yes, that should be your focus. You're in there just to get that job. Okay, they're entitled to their opinion. I'm entitled to mine. I've done a lot of research on this. I've been in and out of this for a while. You're not in there to get that job because there are too many things that you might not have those I's dotted and T's crossed that you're not even aware of, and you do a killer job in the room. What you're in there to do is to win the room. You're in there to win the casting director, the assistant, anybody standing around that you have no idea who they are. You're in there to let them know you are trained, you are versed, you're smart, you're sharp, you're aware, you're on the ball, you're somebody who they should hire. And you're going to deliver the product, whatever that product is, to the best of your ability, making choices and owning it with confidence. And when you do that, if you're not right for that part, they are thinking about where you can fit in the future. If you're going out for pilot season and they're going to pick it up and do a series, they will be thinking about you for episode 4, episode 7, season 2, whatever it might be. You want that. It might not work for that particular audition, but it will work for other things that you do. Okay, so the interviewing process is the meet and greet. That let them know about you. Now, let me give you the 4 steps. Come back. I'm going to give you 8 ways and an assignment, and then we're out of here. Okay, I'm going to give you an assignment. So there you go. Okay, so after you're done with the interviewing process, whatever that might be, and they might say something to you like, okay, tell me something interesting about you. What book are you reading right now? What's your favorite movie? I've gotten asked all these questions through my career, and even this one. Tell me a joke. And you get asked, you're in a position now. It's like, can you tell a joke that's not going to offend somebody involved in the decision-making process? Do your research and have all these things in place. I've landed so much money in gigs just by being prepared. I got asked, tell us a joke, landed a gig. Oh, that was a great job. I got asked, so tell me an interesting recipe. Healthy honey mustard halibut. How do you make that? And then just tell them, smile like I'm eating it while I'm telling them. You know, it's just, I like this person. I like this person. I think I'm going to call them back. I like this person. We're going to give them the job. That's your job, is to invoke that response. So be prepared, and definitely don't do this. Okay. They ask you a question and you go, okay, wait, you've lost it. It's done. It is over. The battle is over. Don't go there, because you're going to take up too much time on set. I mean, all these little things make a big difference to whether you're working or not. Okay, so practice that, and I'll give you the assignment in a minute here. Okay, so after the interview process, whatever it is, however it is, and sometimes it's just this, hi, go. You'll get that too. So you have to expect it and be prepared for that. Oh my gosh, they didn't ask me anything about that. Some of them won't. It's all casting director indicative, based on their schedule, their timing, and the way they like to audition people. And you don't know until you learn them. Then when you learn them and they call you back, you say, oh, I know how the CD works. Yeah, they're short and to the point. I'm going to get in there and let them know I'm their efficient person. Oh, this one really loves to talk. Okay, I'm going to find out a little bit about them on Instagram, Facebook, and then maybe bring some topics in that they might find interesting. And then you just got to get good at it by doing it. That's going to be the assignment. Okay, step 3 is the performance. Now, the performance might be the story, might be the joke, The performance might be a monologue. You need to have nothing less than 3 performance level monologues ready to go at any given point in time. Please, I have told you that. I need you to know that. You have to be ready with monologues, guys, because you don't know what's going to be asked of you, and you don't want to whip them up or go, oh, I could pull something I did 5 years ago. What does that tell me? It tells me you don't work. You're a hot product, man. It's like, come on. Yeah, I've got a minute comedic dramatic monologue. What would you like to hear? And let them know how long it is, because that they get, remember, time scares people if they think it's going to be too long, especially in an audition. So let them know I got a minute monologue, and keep them around a minute, guys. 45 seconds to 90 seconds. That's a nice sweet spot for you to do your monologues if they ask for that. Okay. Now, if it is sides, if it is a prepared piece of material, fantastic. Then they're ready to go. Great. Behavior, lines, behavior. Remember that. Don't just jump into the dialogue. Take a moment, have your moment, get into the character, get into your who, what, where, your 3 primary pillars that support scene and story. Who, what, where, who are you? Who's the other person? What's your relationship? What's it all about? Where's this thing actually taking place? Throw yourself into that moment. Do the work. Be ready for either a redirect, if they're going to redirect you. And here's the insight on a redirect. If they give you a redirect, you got to give them something different. Simple little hack on giving them something different is change your body angle. Right away, it will do something different. Actors will often give a performance. The casting director will ask, or the director will ask for a redirect. They will just stay in the same posture. Don't change your breathing, change your attitude, change your physiology. And then even if your performance is really close to what you just did, at least it will seem different than what you just did. But it should be ideally a completely different choice. And this is why when you're preparing your auditions, you should be preparing the way you want to do it with your immediate choices and what you think is best. Then go extreme right. How would he or she be, say, more aggressive? And then go extreme left. How would he or she be more passive or funny or serious, whatever it is for the part? Give yourself a nice range in your rehearsal process, so that when they ask for anything, you just start making those simple adjustments and you're prepped. You're a trained, prepared actor. That's how you land the big jobs, not on a wish and a prayer and a hope and a chance, or you're cute. All right, those will get you some gigs, but that's not what you want to hinge your career on. Or you wouldn't be listening to this if you weren't serious or sticking with me through this whole thing as I get ready to land this bird. Okay, step number 4 is your exit. Oh my gosh, I can't get into all the things that you can mess up on your exit, but here's the number 1 thing. The number 1 thing is letting them know that you know it wasn't good. Revealing and letting on that inside you don't feel you did as well as you could have or should have. Okay, now let me address that. What does that look like? You just did your performance and they say, thank you very much. And you go, thank you. That lets us know. Good casting people and good coaches like myself, when I see an actor do it in my studio in training, I go, you just thought that wasn't good, because I can see it in their eyes. I can read their body language. I know that they just were let down by what they just did. You can't let on. But now here's the deal. If you are really, really working at the craft, and I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you who are really, really want to do well, and you want to study, you're listening to all you can, you're training, you're constantly on things, chances are you're not going to be as thrilled with your performance as often as you giving a performance that didn't quite meet up to your own personal expectations. That doesn't mean it was a bad performance. It doesn't mean you blew it. It doesn't mean any of those things. It just means it didn't meet that level of perfection that you tend to hold yourself to, which will kill you. You got to get perfection out of it. We work with excellence, not perfection. So all you perfectionists that are listening right now, wipe out perfection and just replace it with the word excellence. Okay? Big difference between those 2 words for another time. So when you're done with your auditioning process. Most of the time, chances are you didn't do as well as you probably internally felt you could have done. That's okay. You've got to train yourself to walk out of the room knowing you just knocked it out of the park. Even if you royally blow it, you could be screwing the whole thing up and bobbling words and just missing everything and just totally blow it. When you're done and they say, thank you, you got to come back with that. It's just good muscle training for you, because they might be thinking when you did this, they might be going, oh, but this person's perfect. Okay, I can work with this person. You do not know what they're thinking. And don't be so haughty to think that you know what they're thinking. You don't know what they're thinking. You have no idea what they're thinking. I used to cast a book, more gigs that I went, I don't think I'm getting that one, than the ones that I went, man, I just crushed that one. I mean, this is after I'm out of the room, thinking to myself how I did when I'm just, in check with myself. I would book more of the ones that I didn't think I got than the ones that I did get. It's just a weird thing. You have no idea. So it's not your job to judge your character, judge your work when you're in there, and you certainly cannot judge for them. Our job is to go in and do the best, most excellent job that we can do as often as possible, knowing that we're not always going to do great, but we're going to act as if we did. And I hope you got that. If not, rewind this thing and listen to it again, because that's what you need to do when you walk out of the room. Not like you're disconnected from reality, but there's who you are and what you do. Who we are is our value. What we do is not our value. And separating those two will keep you around a lot longer. It'll keep you in relationships. It'll keep you in jobs. It'll keep you in this career. It'll keep you in a lot of things, because guess what? Not everything we're going to do is going to be amazing, but we're amazing. You're amazing. You're all amazing. We're amazing. And we do everything we can to be the best possible version of ourselves. And then sometimes we over excel. It's like, wow, that was better than anything I thought I would ever do. And other times we underperform, and it's all okay. Just don't let onto it, especially on your way out of the room, whether you're walking out of the room or whether you're blacking your camera out of the room and muting your microphone out of the room. And remember to mute your microphone if you're auditioning via Zoom. You don't want to black out your camera and then start saying things and they're hearing what you're saying. You got to be careful of that stuff. Okay. So your introduction, your interview, and your exit, or your performance and your exit. Let me do that. Take two. See, point in hand. It's your first impression. It's the interview. It's the performance. And it's your last impression or your exit. Those are the four basic steps. Okay. Now I'm just going to give you 8 different notes that casting directors have given me personally. These are top casting directors, top casting director notes. I'm going to give you 8 of them. I'm going to go through it real quick and we're going to wrap this up for you guys. Okay. So write this down. And if you want the show notes, I'm going to go through them pretty quick. All you have to do is just email us info@claybankstudio.com and we will send you all of the show notes. Okay. So number 1, be prepared. Don't blow your shot when you get it. That's what this whole teaching was all about, as I'm ready to end this thing. Be prepared. You're training. You listening right now all the way through. You still being here listening to me. This is part of it. But you can't just listen to people talk about the craft. You have to work at the craft. Okay? Number 2, don't aim to please. People pleasing is ugly. You're not in there going, well, what do they want to see? And how do you think they want it? Forget it. Stop it. Come up with something interesting. And then when you think you're close to getting it all right, change something about it, just so that you're doing something organically true to you and not just trying to be a people pleaser. And if you are a people pleaser, you got to go to work on not people pleasing, which is a whole thing. I work with my actors on it all the time. Okay, number 3, make strong choices and stick with them. That is huge. Choices. I do an entire teaching on choices and intentions because I find actors make these interesting choices that have absolutely nothing to do with what we're seeing in front of the camera. Okay. And remember, when you're doing your monologues, guys, when you're doing your monologues, if you took that monologue out of a play or a story, a TV show, film, whatever, there's a lead up that supports that monologue. And then there's a follow-up that will support it on the other end to make that monologue amazing. When we're doing a standalone monologue, it stands alone. We have to get that monologue structured so it supports itself on its own, beginning, middle, and end within that 45 to 90 seconds. Okay, and it takes some adjusting and some work. So don't do things that have nothing to do with what it is that we're seeing. All right, that's what that one's all about. Number 4, be kind. Now, you're not in there making friends, but you're being polite, professionally polite, and you're being kind in the interview, but not in the performance. Okay, so keep this in mind. Actors are nice and kind and polite people. Acting is not. Acting is invasive, it's strong, it's impassioned, it's empowered, it's attacking. So just keep that in mind. The verb is aggressive. The noun is polite and nice. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, number 5, be authentic. They want you to do well and they want to know who we are. So you got to go out and figure out, you, especially young actors that are just like, you're just in your phones and you're just studying and you're just doing these teachings. And it's like, no, I talked about this earlier. You got to get out and explore and find out who it is that you are. If you put my name in searches and put artist adventure next to it, or hashtag artist adventures, I talk all about what I get my actors to do on a regular basis to get out to become more interesting people. Okay, number 6, everyone's taking a risk at every level of this when we put a show together. The writers are taking a risk, the studios are taking risks, the producers, the showrunners, everybody's taking risks on everybody else. You've got to take a risk too on yourself. You got to take a risk, you got to take a chance and let these people know that you are a professional, solution-oriented individual that can deliver the goods and going to be fun and exciting to work with. You get those things down, you're going to work a lot. Number 7, know you. Commit to the character. Know what you can and what you can't play well. And that's usually what your acting training is all about. In working with a coach, I'm saying, well, actually, here's your type. This is where we see you in the breakdowns. I do that with my actors all the time. It's like, if we can't see you in the breakdown, I mean, then where are you? What are you doing? You know, what is it that you're offering? If you're not in the story, archetypical ensemble of storytelling, who are you in that archetype of storytelling? It's all about finding out who you are and knowing the parts that you play best. Okay. Whoa, I just covered you guys up. I'm so sorry. I wasn't even thinking about that. You just listened till I put my notes up in front of you. I'm so sorry. I had no idea I was even doing that. I'm back. It's like, what happened to your camera? Nothing. I did a faux pas. Okay, I'm back. Hello. Here we go. Number 8, and we'll wrap this thing up. Do your work. I already covered this with you. Do your work 3 different ways. In your preparation process, do your work three ways. Boom, boom, boom. Once you do that, then you take them to Disneyland. All right, now, here's the thing. I do a lot of one-on-one coaching sessions for people getting ready for auditions every week. People are coming in and out of my office, or I'm doing it via Zoom, prepping them for Netflix shows, Amazon shows, features, films, everything, all that stuff. And generally what happens when an actor comes in and orders an hour private with me, I'm trying to get them to understand the script, understand what they're doing, and help them to get their lines down. Note to you, that's not what you want to pay a coach to do with the hour that you've bought that coach. Okay? You need to have all those things down prior to your coaching session so the coach can go in and start working with you on seeing these interesting choices, working with different blocking. How can we bring more nuance out of you? How do we get your performance to go from here to here? All those things are what we should be doing with you. And most of the time, and I tell my actors, I say, in these one-on-ones, I'm basically just getting out my first aid kit and holding people together. It's crazy. But when I get actors that come in that are smart and they're sharp, they got a 9-page series lead on a Netflix show. They'll order 2 hours. They'll come in character with their choices made, and lines are not part of this of the session. I'm not dealing with lines, because if I'm dealing with lines, I can't go deep into helping you to be better. If you've got your lines down and I start making changes with you and the lines are still there, now we get to play. And that's what a director will do with you on a redirect, is seeing if they can work with you if you're strapped to your lines. Okay. So keep that in mind. You got to be prepared before you go in on these things. You go, well, I don't know. They give me the sides and I only have a day and a half, 2 days to be ready. You're not trained well enough. You have to train better. I mentioned in part one, like I was on a series. If you're working on a series regular, I was series regular, you're going to get script changes, notes, pages, pink and blue pages. They're going to come to you. You got to be able to be ready to go in. They're making those changes literally seconds before you're going to go in. You've got to learn that and be able to get in there. And how come? Well, when I was working as an actor, I studied, I was in class twice a week. I had monologue training. I was shooting stuff outside of the class, all kinds of things. I was just constantly working. So it wasn't a big deal to work. But if you're not training and you're not preparing yourself and you land an audition because you're aggressively like these guys trying to go, how do I get casting directors? You try hard enough, somebody will look at you, but then what are you showing them? You got to be ready. Okay. All right. So that's it for this. I'm going to end this one right now, but I want to give you an assignment to work on. And here's the assignment. Set your camera up, your phone camera, whatever it is, set it up and work on 45-second interviews, as if you're being interviewed by a casting person in a general or a go-see, telling interesting stories about yourself, telling a joke, putting up a monologue, giving them an anecdote, any of these things. Keep shooting and shooting yourself until you're to that point where you're feeling like, okay, I've got something good here. I'm good with this. So you don't have to pay for that kind of training. You can do this on your own, and you really should be. Don't just watch. Watching's one thing. When you're done here, get up and start doing something about your career and doing something about your training. Okay. One thing you could be doing about your training is you could study. You can study here with me in my studio, Claybank Studio International. We're in the pilot season prep classes right now in my studio. My classes are Wednesday day for those of you in other parts of the world that can't make 7 o'clock at night classes. We have a 12 o'clock day class. We've got a 7 o'clock Wednesday night class. My Thursday day class is a master class, so that's not open. And then my Thursday night class starts at 7 o'clock as well. And we do live in studio. We're fully functioning Hollywood acting studio, COVID compliant, and we're rocking and rolling. And half the students come in here. We don't take as many in here anymore as you would imagine. And then the other half of the students are coming in from all over the country and parts of the world via Zoom. So if you have an interest in wanting to study as part of being part of TMFA, we can give you a complimentary audit. Just let us know, info@claybankstudio.com. And you can come in and audit a class. If it's not too full, you'll get an opportunity to do some work. But if not, you'll just audit and check it out and see what's going on. And you'll learn a lot and you'll grow a lot as well. So check that out. Everything's on the website, claybankstudio.com. This is part 2 of a 5-part series. I will be back again next Tuesday, Technique Tuesday at noon Pacific Standard Time, to bring you into the next phase of this. And then we're going to be rolling in 4 and 5. We will be moving into the things I know you want to know about, and that's agents and managers and showrunners and writers and how it all fits into pilot season and positioning yourself and all of that stuff. I will cover it for you, but guys, don't put the fruit on the stand until the fruit is ripe and ready to eat, proverbially speaking. Okay. All right, guys, I got a bolt. You're all awesome. Don't let yourself tell yourself anything other than that. And I just say, guys, keep creative. Do everything you can to be as creative and interesting as you can. And God bless all of you, and be safe out there. Until next time, Coach Clay Banks. We'll see you then.